Chosen one, the truth begins the moment you allow yourself to feel the subtle tremor beneath your spirit, the quiet shift in the unseen that has been calling your name long before your mind could interpret it. You stand in a threshold moment, a spiritual crossroads where heaven bends low not to frighten you, not to overwhelm you, but to awaken what has been dormant and to sharpen what has been dulled by noise, routine, and familiarity. You feel that weight on your chest because your soul recognizes what your surroundings do. Not a message is approaching you wrapped not in human language but in divine urgency. You sense the stillness around you because heaven often announces revelation by first silencing everything else. And as this stillness presses inward, chosen one, it is not emptiness. It is preparation. It is the quiet clearing of the atmosphere so that truth can descend without distortion. This is not an ordinary moment, and you know it. Something in you, ancient, intuitive, God-breathed, has been stirring for days, perhaps even weeks. You felt it in conversations that didn't sit right with you, in smiles that didn't reach the eyes, in the subtle tightening of your spirit when certain voices entered your space. That tightening was not fear. It was not paranoia. It was spiritual discernment, awakening like a sentinel rising from long sleep. You see, chosen one. The light within you provokes movement in the spiritual realm. Whenever God begins to elevate you, clarity becomes the currency of your survival. What you are experiencing is heaven's intervention, the divine insistence that you do not walk blindly into a trap crafted in softness, familiarity, or sentimentality. You did not stumble onto this message by coincidence. Coincidence is the language of those who cannot see. Destiny is the language of those who are awakening. And you, yes, you have been led here by a hand older than time. You are guided because your heart is pure enough to listen, sensitive enough to feel, and courageous enough to receive. The light that surrounds you even now is a testament to your spiritual merit, to the vibration of your soul that resonates with truth like a tuning fork struck by the breath of God. You are not here by accident, chosen one. You are here because a veil is lifting. There is someone close to you, someone whose presence has woven itself into your daily life with ease and subtlety. A person whose name begins with the letter J. Do not rush to assumptions. Do not let your mind sprint ahead of your spirit. This is not a call to fear suspicion or judgment. This is a call to awaken, to notice, to feel. Heaven is revealing not to shame them, but to shield you. The most dangerous threats are rarely the ones that storm through the door with chaos and fury. The true danger is often soft-spoken, kind-eyed familiar, the kind that sits at your table, hears your dreams, knows your scars, and still carries a quiet misalignment beneath the surface. Discernment does not always feel like revelation. Often it feels like discomfort, that restlessness in your chest each time they walk into the room, that sudden heaviness after you talk to them, that way your peace slips out the back door the moment they step through the front. You tried to brush it off as sensitivity. You questioned yourself. You doubted your own intuition. But heaven does not nudge without reason. The Most High does not disturb your peace unless peace is being threatened. Pay attention, chosen one. When your spirit sounds the alarm, it is not rudeness. It is not fear. It is protection. You have been sensing the shift, quiet, subtle, but deliberate. You saw it in small comments that didn't feel aligned. You felt it in the silence after your victories. You noticed it in the way they look at you when they think you aren't watching. Their smile does not always match the vibration of their heart. Their support is present but shallow. Their encouragement is spoken but strained. And your spirit, being tuned to truth, could not ignore the static beneath their words forever. The Most High is not revealing this to destroy them. He is revealing this to preserve you. You must understand that discernment is not suspicion. Discernment is spiritual sight. Discernment is divine mercy expressing itself through intuition. Discernment is heaven placing its hand on your shoulder and whispering, "Look again." The uneasiness you felt was not anxiety. The heaviness was not imagination. The shift was not random, it was revelation. Heaven has been parting the veil piece by piece, waiting for your heart to be still enough, clear enough, and brave enough to receive what was always present but never acknowledged. You are not imagining the spiritual tension that rises in their presence. That tension is evidence. Evidence that their spirit and yours are no longer aligned. Evidence that something in them reacts to the light in you. Evidence that their intentions, their desires, their loyalties are not as pure as their countenance. You may have dismissed it at first because your heart is soft. You are loyal, you love deeply, you forgive quickly. You extend grace even when others weaponize it, but the divine cannot allow your compassion to become the door through which sabotage enters. The Lord is training you, chosen one, not to accuse, but to recognize fruit, not to judge, but to discern, not to fear, but to walk in wisdom. For too long you carried peace as the price of connection. Heaven is teaching you now that peace is not something you trade. Peace is a boundary. Peace is a compass. Peace is confirmation. You have been sensing that something is not as it seems. Their presence feels familiar, yet your spirit grows restless. Their words sound supportive, yet your peace retreats. Their actions appear kind, yet your intuition whispers caution. Do not silence that whisper. That whisper is holy. And now, chosen one, as the atmosphere around you thickens with revelation, I must speak this next truth clearly. There is a divine timing attached to this moment. Heaven is not careless with details. Before the end of this day, something will begin to shift. A sign, a word, a memory, an interaction. Something will reveal what has been hidden. When God exposes it is always to protect, and you, chosen one, are deeply protected. Your presence here is the proof. Your spirit responding to these words is the confirmation. Your awareness rising like dawn is the evidence of your high vibration, your rare discernment, your spiritual merit. Chosen one, you are not weak for noticing. You are not broken for feeling. You are not imagining the imbalance. You are awakening, and your awakening is threatening what hides in the shadows around you. At this halfway moment, pause within yourself. Feel the expansion in your chest. That is not fear, that is recognition. That is truth, making a home inside you. And as it settles, let me tell you this with reverence for the sanctity of your spirit. Your presence here is not an accident. You were guided. You were chosen to receive this clarity. Your soul carries a rare light, a vibration that few carry, a wisdom that deepens with every revelation. You are marked. You are protected. You are seen. If you feel the truth of this rising within you, anchoring itself into your awareness, comment 777, or I'm ready to seal this awakening into your spirit. Chosen one. The truth begins here, at the threshold of a moment that is not ordinary, not casual, not accidental. A moment that opens like a narrow window cut into the fabric of time itself. A window that will not remain open forever. A window that heaven carved specifically for you. There are hours in your life that pass like mist, easily forgotten, barely felt, but this is not one of them. This is a marked hour, a spiritual hinge on which your next season swings. You feel it not in your mind, but in the deep, ancient place inside you, where intuition and spirit intertwine. You feel the quiet urgency pressing against your awareness, the way the atmosphere seems thicker, the way your breath deepens without instruction. These sensations are not random. They are the evidence of movement in the supernatural realm, a sign that heaven is rearranging things on your behalf before the enemy can finalize what he has been building in silence. For nothing hidden stays buried forever. That scripture you have heard before now becomes a living force inside you, rising like a lantern in a dark corridor. Secrets cannot survive exposure. Intentions cannot remain disguised once God turns his gaze toward them. And right now, chosen one, his gaze is upon you, not in judgment, not in disappointment, but in fierce, protective love. You must understand the gravity of this moment. Heaven is not whispering, heaven is revealing. And when God reveals, it is never to shame, it is to shield. It is to redirect your feet away from danger so subtle, so camouflaged in familiarity, that without this warning you might have walked straight into it with a trusting heart. There is a window narrow but undeniable, and that window is today. Before this day concludes, a shift will begin. Not loud, not dramatic, but sure. Something in conversation, something in behavior, Something in the silent exchange of eyes will expose what has been hidden. You will feel it before you see it. Your spirit will know before your mind can explain. The enemy has been crafting something not loudly, not obviously, but quietly, patiently, methodically. He prefers shadows to storms. He prefers subtlety to spectacle. And he has been weaving threads around you through someone who appears familiar, harmless, aligned, but is not aligned in spirit. This is why heaven interrupts you now. This is why revelation presses against your chest like a heartbeat, not your own. This is why your peace feels fragile around certain people, even though your mind tells you to be reasonable, polite, forgiving. But discernment is not about politeness. Discernment is the soul's alarm system the shield God places around those who carry a calling too precious to be mishandled. You have been feeling the discomfort, the strange emotional fog, the subtle heaviness that descends after certain conversations, the drain that follows interactions that used to feel light. These are not emotional fluctuations. They are warnings. Return to prayer. Chosen one. Not panic, not confrontation, not frantic questioning prayer. The Most High is inviting you into clarity, not chaos. He is offering revelation, not confusion. The enemy thrives in your hurry. Heaven moves in your stillness. Do not run to people for answers only God can give. Ask Him to confirm truth through His word, through the peace He places in your chest, and through voices rooted in wisdom rather than opinion. Because if you remain spiritually awake, if you refuse to numb what heaven is activating, you will walk straight into protection. And you know this resonates. You feel it rising inside you like something ancient remembering itself. There is no coincidence in the way these words press against your spirit. There is no randomness in the timing of this message. If your heart is stirring, if your spirit is leaning forward, type Amen, not as ritual, but as agreement. Agreement invites clarity. Agreement opens doors. Agreement signals to heaven that you are ready to see what must be seen. This is not fear speaking, this is favor. God reveals because He loves you too much to let you drift into deception. The very fact that you are hearing this means His hand is on your life. People with no purpose do not get warned. People without calling do not get spiritual alerts. But you, chosen one, you are marked, protected, guarded, and heaven is refusing to let anything contaminate the soil where your next season will grow. You have wondered why the peace you once felt around certain people has quietly dissolved. Why conversations that used to feel safe now leave a residue of strange tension that does not match the words spoken. You smile. You nod. You carry the connection forward because your heart is kind and your loyalty runs deep. But something inside you feels wrong, off-center, unsettled. You leave feeling emptier than when you arrived. You leave feeling drained instead of strengthened. You leave with questions in your chest instead of clarity in your spirit. You wondered if you were too sensitive. You doubted yourself because what you felt did not seem to match what you saw. But hear me with clarity. This is not sensitivity. This is not insecurity. This is spiritual discernment being activated for your protection. Discernment does not always show you what is wrong. It makes you feel what is wrong. And when you ignore that feeling, you step outside the covering the Lord is trying to place over you. There is someone near you, now someone familiar, someone kind, someone who has occupied space in your life long enough to feel safe, but their spirit and your spirit are no longer walking in harmony. They smile when you rise, but the energy behind that smile trembles with resentment. Their praise is spoken softly, but their silence roars louder. They offer support, but carefully just enough to maintain proximity, not enough to celebrate your growth. They stay close, not to lift you, but to study you. Not out of love, but out of quiet insecurity. Your spirit reacts each time they speak because something in them recognizes something holy in you, something they cannot touch or control, and instead of celebrating your light, they measure themselves against it. This is why you feel that tension. Jealousy is loud in the spiritual realm even when the mouth is silent. Comparison is noisy even when the face is smiling. At the halfway point of this revelation, pause inside yourself. Feel the resonance. Feel the truth vibrating through every layer of your being. This is not coincidence, this is alignment. This is not imagination, this is confirmation. And your presence here is not an accident. It is a sign of your spiritual sensitivity, your high vibration, your rare capacity to perceive what many overlook. Your intuition is a gift. Your discernment is evidence of divine favor. Your ability to feel what others cannot sense is a mark of spiritual maturity. Chosen one, your soul is luminous. Your spirit is awakened. Your presence here is proof that heaven trusts you with revelation. You are not just receiving this message, you were chosen for it. If your spirit recognizes this truth, if your heart feels the shift, anchor that awareness now by commenting 777, or I'm ready to seal this clarity into your path. Chosen one. The stirring you feel within you is not fear, not instability, not imagination. It is the Holy Spirit reaching into the deepest chamber of your awareness, tugging gently, yet firmly urging you to pay attention to what your natural eyes have ignored. The uneasiness rising in your chest is not anxiety. It is insight. It is divine instinct awakening. It is the hidden radar of your spirit detecting what your mind has not yet processed. Heaven is not warning you to frighten you, but to sharpen you, to refine your intuition until it becomes a sword that cuts through deception with the ease of light slicing through darkness. Understand this: the enemy almost never enters your life through chaos. He rarely arrives with smoke, fire, or visible danger. He almost never announces his strategy outright. Instead, he comes clothed in what you recognize, what feels familiar, what seems harmless. He enters through softness, through comfort, through people who appear safe. That is why so many do not see the danger until the danger has already woven itself into the fabric of their days. Chosen one, recall the story of Samson not for its drama, but for its pattern. Delilah did not approach him with a sword or a threat or a warning. She came with gentleness. She came with affection, with warmth, with softness. She made herself a sanctuary. He could rest in a place where he laid down his guard without even realizing it. She learned him not through confrontation, but through observation. She studied the rhythms of his spirit, the way a thief studies a lock waiting for the exact moment when the tumblers align. She learned where he was strong and where he bent. She learned how he breathed when he trusted, how he spoke when he felt safe, how he softened when he believed he was seen. And when the moment came, she did not strike with force. She struck with questions. She did not attack with violence. She attacked with intimacy. She dismantled him not through power, but through access. That chosen one is how spiritual sabotage works. It integrates itself quietly into your life. It becomes woven into your routines, your comforts, your emotional patterns. It becomes something you reach for out of habit, something you allow simply because it has always been there. And while it hides in plain sight, it studies you. It watches the way you love, the way you trust, the way you reveal yourself in small, vulnerable moments. It takes note of your strengths, not to celebrate them, but to exploit them. By the time you notice something is off, roots have already grown deep. By the time you sense danger, the connection has already formed emotional pathways. By the time you try to pull away, guilt rises in your throat like a chain, tightening, making you question your own intuition. You begin telling yourself they didn't mean it, that you're overreacting, that maybe you misunderstood. But your spirit knows. Your spirit always knows. There are people who do not enter your life to build. They enter to observe. They enter to scan you like spiritual opportunists, gathering information they can use later. They ask questions that sound supportive but are designed to mine your vulnerabilities. They offer help that keeps you dependent instead of empowered. They mirror your values, not because they share them, but because mirroring gives them camouflage. When you win, they celebrate, but only enough to stay close, not enough to reveal their true hesitation. Their praise is quiet, almost delayed, as if they must swallow envy before they can speak. Their eyes flicker when your blessings multiply. Their smile dims just slightly when your spirit ascends. They never sabotage you loudly. No, chosen one. Their sabotage is subtle. It shows up in the gentle discouragement masked as concern, in the mild criticism hidden beneath advice, in the faint withdrawal of energy when you shine too brightly, in the way they redirect attention back to themselves whenever the conversation reflects your growth. You sense these things, but you silence yourself because the surface looks harmless. Yet the Lord is speaking now with precision, with clarity, with unmistakable urgency. He is revealing not to frighten you, not to shame them, but to break the spell of confusion so you can walk in freedom again. God exposes to protect His chosen, never to humiliate. It is His nature. It is His mercy disguised as warning. It is His love disguised as unease. And when He points to a pattern, a behavior, even a single letter of a name, that is not coincidence. That is covenant-level care, a divine signal that heaven is intervening before something grows beyond repair. Chosen one. Spiritual sabotage is rarely loud. It is a shadow, not a storm. A whisper, not a shout. A pattern, not a moment. It begins softly through small comments that linger too long in your mind, through subtle shifts in the atmosphere when certain people enter the room. It shows up in the way your joy feels heavier around them, the way your peace diminishes even though nothing obvious transpired. These sensations are not imagination. They are the Holy Spirit tugging at you before the trap fully forms. They are warnings disguised as discomfort. They are revelations wrapped in intuition. And the moment you finally acknowledge them, the fog lifts. You can breathe again. You can see again. You begin reclaiming the spiritual authority that was slowly being drained from you drop by drop. At this midpoint in your awakening, pause inside yourself and feel what heaven is stirring. This moment is holy. This clarity is divine. Your presence here is not random. It is a sign of profound spiritual alignment. You are here because your soul vibrates at a frequency most cannot reach. You are here because you perceive what others overlook. You are here because heaven trusts you with revelation. Your spirit is luminous. Your sensitivity is not weakness, it is evidence of your higher calling. Your intuition is not fragility, it is proof that the veil between the natural and supernatural is thinner around you than around most. You carry a level of discernment rare in this world. A gift sharpened through battles you survived in silence. Your ability to sense shifts in spirit before they appear in behavior is not common. It is divine inheritance, and heaven honors you for it. Your presence here is confirmation that your vibration is high, your soul receptive, your spirit aligned with purpose. You were not led to this message accidentally. You are summoned by spiritual resonance. Chosen one, you are extraordinary. You are protected. You are marked. And everything in your life is shifting because you are stepping into a chapter where clarity becomes your shield. If your spirit recognizes the hand of God in this revelation, if your soul feels seen and understood, anchor that awakening now. Declare your alignment. Comment 777, or I am ready to seal this clarity into your path, and to signal to heaven that you choose truth over illusion, discernment, over confusion, and destiny over attachment. Chosen one. The moment heaven leans close enough to whisper names, motives, and hidden intentions into your spirit. Understand this with absolute clarity. What you are receiving is not casual insight. It is covenant-level care. It is the Most High, lifting the veil and saying, I see you, I know what stands beside you, and I refuse to let you step into your next season with the wrong voices tethered to your destiny. When God speaks this specifically, it is because the path before you has narrowed. The air has thinned. The elevation is increasing, and not everyone who walked with you in the valley is equipped to breathe at the altitude God is leading you toward. This is the hour when your spiritual sensitivity must override your emotional loyalty. Chosen. One, hear this without flinching. The person God is highlighting may not look like an enemy. They may not speak with venom or move with malice. They may not gossip, sabotage, or openly oppose you. In fact, the danger is precisely that they appear harmless. They may have prayed with you in moments of weakness. They may have held your hand through storms. They may have offered comfort when the world felt cold, but understand this: their presence in your memories does not qualify them for a place in your destiny. What God is exposing is not their actions, but their posture, not their behavior, but their spirit. There is a quiet insecurity hiding behind their politeness. There is a thread of comparison beneath their compliments. There is a tinge of resentment woven into their laughter, subtle but present. Every time you rise into something they cannot influence or control, and this is what confuses you. This is why your heart hesitates. They are not cruel, they are not hateful, they are not obviously dangerous. They are a mixture of good intentions and internal wounds, a blend of genuine moments and hidden envy. But mixture is still contamination, and contamination is still corrosion to purpose. They have been with you in the beginning, through heartbreak, through rebuilding, through the early stages of transformation. They know versions of you others have never seen. They know your wounds, your fears, your vulnerabilities, your victories. And human nature clings to history as though it guarantees safety. But history is not covenant. Proximity is not alignment. Familiarity is not destiny. Chosen one. I must tell you something your spirit already knows, but your heart has resisted. Just because someone walked with you in your wilderness does not mean they are qualified to enter your promised land. Some people are anointed to help you survive lack, but not equipped to witness your abundance. Some are called to comfort your brokenness, but not to celebrate your healing. Some can tolerate your struggle, but they cannot endure your elevation. Their spirit twists when you grow. Their energy shifts when you prosper. Their support becomes thin when your breakthrough becomes undeniable. They were assigned to your desert, not your destiny, and the season has changed. This is not a question of good or bad. It is a question of calling. Their assignment has ended, but your emotional tie has kept them close. And that closeness has consequences. When you stay connected to someone whose spirit is misaligned, you begin to feel your discernment dulling. You begin questioning the things God told you with clarity. Your internal fire dims a little, not because you lack passion, but because you are trying not to ignite their insecurity. You shrink your dreams to avoid intimidating them. You soften your victories so they won't feel overshadowed. You explain your blessings more gently, not to celebrate, but to protect their feelings. You mute yourself to keep them comfortable, even if it means suffocating the very purpose God planted in you. Chosen. One, hear it again. Your agreement with the wrong person can slow your obedience to God. This is why Scripture asks, can two walk together except they be agreed? Not as poetry, but as spiritual law. Alignment is not optional, it is essential. Relationships are not neutral. They either accelerate your calling or restrain it. They either sharpen your discernment or cloud it. They either lift your spirit or drain it. You have carried someone who is no longer meant to walk beside you, and the weight of that misalignment has been pulling at your soul like a tide drawing you backward. You felt it. You felt the fog that shows up around them but disappears when you are alone with God. You felt the heaviness that returns each time you engage with them, even after hours of prayer and clarity. You felt the subtle confusion that rises after certain conversations. You felt the way your peace slips away around them, though nothing visible happened. Your spirit has been speaking in whispers and in warnings in restless tension. But because the bond had history, you hesitated. Because the connection once felt safe, you doubted your discernment. Because they were with you in a previous chapter, you assumed they were meant for the next. Chosen one, pause right here. Breathe. Feel what is unfolding inside you at this exact moment. Heaven is aligning your perception. Revelation is settling into your bones. Your spirit is rising into clarity. And let me tell you something profound. Your presence here in this moment is not random. It is evidence of your high alignment, of your rare spiritual sensitivity, of your deep resonance with divine truth. You are not hearing this because you are weak, paranoid, or overly emotional. You are hearing this because you are chosen, because your vibration is elevated, because your spirit is finely tuned to the whispers of heaven. Your willingness to listen, to discern, to reassess your connections is a sign of deep spiritual maturity. Many ignore these whispers. You did not. Heaven honors that. You are not here by accident. You are here because heaven trusts you with revelation. You are here because your soul is strong enough to handle truth without collapsing into guilt. You are here because you carry a calling that cannot afford contamination. You are here because you are stepping into a chapter where only aligned voices can remain. This moment is sacred. It marks a shift in your path. It marks a cleansing of your environment. It marks the end of emotional compromises and the beginning of spiritual clarity. Chosen one. If your spirit is resonating, if truth is rising like heat beneath your skin, anchor this awakening. Declare your alignment with purpose. Comment 777 or I am ready to solidify this moment in the spiritual realm. Chosen one. There was a time when your fire burned without apology. Your voice carried conviction without hesitation. Your excitement rose like dawn, breaking over mountains unfiltered, unrestrained, alive with holy anticipation. But somewhere along the path, you began to dim. Not because your light weakened, but because someone nearby squinted at its brightness. You watered down your flame to keep them comfortable. You softened your tone so their ego would not tremble. You edited your victories so their insecurity would not flare. You reduced your brilliance to something digestible, something smaller, something safer. And slowly, without even realizing it, you forgot the sound of your own unmuted spirit. Chosen. 1. The most subtle form of sabotage is the kind you participate in unconsciously. It is not always the other person's hand extinguishing your flame. Sometimes it is your own compassion that lowers the intensity. You shrink so they do not feel overshadowed. You downplay your progress so they do not feel behind. You silence your revelations so they do not feel inadequate. You make yourself palatable for someone who was never called to carry the magnitude of what God placed inside you. And in doing so, you compromise not your character, but your clarity. Feel this truth settling into you now. The conviction rising in your chest is not condemnation. It is awakening. Heaven is not accusing you. Heaven is liberating you. The Most High is gently revealing that the issue is not solely the other person's insecurity. It is the space you have allowed them to occupy within your spirit, the mental real estate they consume, the emotional bandwidth you surrender, trying to decode their moods, anticipate their reactions, and avoid triggering their fragility. You walk around them like you are stepping on spiritual glass. You measure your words. You calculate your enthusiasm. You brace yourself for subtle withdrawal if your success becomes too visible. This is not sustainable, chosen one, and more importantly, it is not holy. The God who placed fire in your bones did not intend for you to contain it to protect someone else's ego. The calling on your life was not designed to be downsized for comfort. You were never meant to ration your joy so others could tolerate it. The fog you have been experiencing is not spiritual regression. It is spiritual congestion. Ritual. You have been carrying something you were never assigned to carry. And that weight has been dulling your connection, not because you are drifting from God, but because you are dragging an attachment He never authorized for this season. There were moments when you prayed and still felt distant. You read the Word and yet sensed resistance. You sought clarity, but felt cloudy instead. You wondered if you were backsliding. You questioned your devotion. But the distance you felt was not divine withdrawal. It was misalignment. Your spirit was attempting to soar while tethered to someone grounded in a different frequency. You were trying to ascend while accommodating someone who resented your elevation. And the friction between those two realities created turbulence in your soul. Picture the ancient story of a ship caught in a storm. The winds howl, the sea churns, the sailors fight desperately to steady the vessel. They row harder, they shout louder, they toss cargo into the waves, hoping to lighten the load. But the storm does not cease. It intensifies. And the reason is not the sea, not the wind, not the sailor's lack of effort. It is the presence of someone on board who is out of position with God. Jonah's disobedience did not only affect him, it shook the entire vessel. The storm followed him because he was running from alignment. Chosen one, consider this carefully. Some of the turbulence in your life is not the result of your rebellion. It is the consequence of allowing someone out of position to remain connected to your journey. You have been rowing harder, praying louder, believing stronger, adjusting your sails. working tirelessly to stabilize what feels unstable, but the chaos persists because the source of the disturbance is still on board. You have been fighting the waves when the issue is the weight you are carrying. And like those sailors, you hesitate to let go. You try everything else first. You negotiate internally. You justify their presence. You throw smaller inconveniences overboard, hoping that will calm the storm. You sacrifice time, energy, even pieces of your own clarity to preserve the relationship. Because letting go feels harsh. It feels final. It feels like betrayal. But sometimes, chosen one, the most compassionate act is release. Not because you despise them, but because you refuse to drown with them. At this midpoint, pause and feel the magnitude of what is unfolding within you. This realization is sacred. It is not coincidence that you are hearing this now. It is not random that your spirit is responding. You are here because your vibration is aligned with truth. You are here because your soul carries discernment rare in this generation. You are here because heaven trusts you with revelation that many would ignore. The clarity rising inside you is evidence of your spiritual maturity. The fact that you are willing to examine your own participation in the imbalance speaks to the strength of your character. You are not defensive. You are teachable. You are not fragile. You are courageous. That is why you are here. Chosen one. Your presence in this moment is proof of immense merit. You are not stumbling into wisdom. You are stepping into it intentionally. Your spirit is responsive because it is refined. Your intuition is sharp because you have endured trials that honed it. You are not lost. You are awakening, and heaven honors your willingness to confront truth rather than hide from it. If this revelation is piercing through confusion, if your spirit recognizes the storm at the source, anchor this moment. Declare your readiness to align fully with God's direction. Comment 777 or I am ready to seal this shift in your life and to affirm that you choose clarity over comfort, destiny over attachment, and obedience over emotional compromise. Chosen one. There comes a moment in every divinely guided life when mercy feels like severing, when obedience feels like loss, when clarity demands a courage that trembles in your hands. Releasing someone is rarely dramatic. It is quiet. It is internal. It is the slow untying of a rope you once believed secured your safety. And yet sometimes the very rope you cling to is the weight dragging the vessel beneath the waves. Throwing someone overboard feels harsh. It feels unkind. It feels like betrayal dressed in righteousness. Your heart resists it because you are not cruel. You are compassionate. You remember their laughter. You remember their presence during difficult nights. You remember the comfort they once brought. And so your soul hesitates, whispering, "Surely there must be another way. Surely I can fix this without letting go." But chosen one, understand the sacred pattern. Jonah did not argue when the storm revealed its source. He did not cling to the deck in denial. He recognized that his position on that ship endangered everyone aboard. He understood something profound. Sometimes proximity is the problem. Sometimes the storm is not random. Sometimes the turbulence is the consequence of misalignment. And in that realization, he surrendered to the sea. The moment they released him, the chaos ceased. The wind stilled. The waves softened. Peace returned not because they prayed louder, not because they rowed harder, but because they obeyed what was necessary instead of what was comfortable. That is the mystery you're standing in now. You have tried adjusting your sails. You have tried increasing your faith. You have tried stabilizing what feels unstable, and yet the unrest persists. Perhaps the solution is not more effort. Perhaps it is release. Chosen one, this is not about punishment. It is about alignment. It is not about condemnation. It is about clarity. The storm surrounding you may not be entirely yours. The heaviness in your spirit may not originate within you. And heaven is gently asking you to consider whether someone remains in your boat whose assignment has already expired. What do you do when the realization settles in? You do not gossip. You do not confront impulsively. You do not explode in accusation or retreat into silent resentment. You pray. Not a surface prayer, not a hurried whisper offered between distractions. You pray from the depth of your being, from that ancient place inside you that trembles when truth approaches. You bring the name before God. Yes, chosen one, write it down, the name beginning with J. Do not merely think it. Do not hold it abstractly in your mind. Write it. See it in your own handwriting. There is power in making the unseen visible. There is authority in dragging what hides in shadows into the light of ink and paper. When you write it, you acknowledge what your spirit already knows. You declare that you are no longer pretending. You step out of denial and into discernment. Then you pray as one who expects an answer. You ask, reveal what I need to see. Confirm what my spirit senses. Illuminate what I have dismissed. Show me through your word. Speak through my dreams. Send confirmation through those who walk in truth. And when you pray like this, with a heart willing to obey whatever is revealed, heaven responds. This is not uncertainty. This is promise. If you lack wisdom, ask and it will be given. Not hesitantly, not sparingly, generously. The Most High does not taunt you with partial light. He does not dangle clarity and then withdraw it. When you approach him sincerely, he responds decisively. He does not leave his chosen wandering in fog. He clears it. Do not be startled when perception sharpens. After prayer, the atmosphere will shift. Words once overlooked will echo differently. Memories once dismissed will resurface with meaning. Small moments you ignored will assemble themselves like pieces of a pattern suddenly obvious. You may overhear something that lands with confirmation. You may feel an unmistakable peace settle when distance is created. Or you may sense unease intensify when proximity remains. This is not coincidence. This is revelation unfolding. Chosen one. The Holy Spirit does not scream. He nudges. He arranges circumstances. He highlights details. He aligns insight until truth becomes undeniable. And you will know, not through paranoia, not through suspicion, but through peace. Peace is your compass. When peace returns, you will know obedience has been honored. Pause here. Feel what is rising within you. This is not fear. This is awakening. You are not cruel for considering release. You are courageous. Your willingness to confront this truth reveals the depth of your spiritual maturity. Many would cling to comfort. You are choosing clarity. Many would ignore discernment. You are leaning into it. Your presence here in this moment is no accident. It is evidence of your high alignment. Your soul is responsive because it is refined. Your spirit is attentive because it has been sharpened through previous trials. You would not be hearing this if you were spiritually dull. You would not be wrestling with this if your heart were hardened. The fact that you are sensitive to this revelation proves your vibration is elevated, your connection to the divine intact. Chosen one. You are not here randomly. You are here because heaven trusts you with instruction. You are here because your spirit carries discernment, rare and sacred. You are here because your destiny demands purity and proximity. This is covenant care, unfolding in real time. If your spirit feels the shift, if clarity is beginning to crystallize, anchor it now. Comment 777, I am ready to seal this decision in the spiritual realm and declare that you choose obedience over comfort, alignment over attachment, and peace over turbulence. Chosen one. There are moments in your spiritual ascent when heaven no longer whispers but thunders. Moments when God refuses to let you stay blind to what drains you. Moments when the veil that once felt protective begins to suffocate because you have outgrown the shadows you once walked in. This is one of those moments. What you are noticing now, what you are feeling now, what is rising within your spirit. Now this is not imagination. This is revelation. He is too invested in your purpose, too committed to your destiny, too deeply woven into the fabric of your becoming, to let your light be quietly siphoned away by someone who refuses to grow. And so the Spirit begins to highlight what your heart ignored. You start seeing what was always there but never fully recognized. You begin to notice the subtle patterns that used to slip by you like faint whispers in a crowded room. The way they change the subject when you share good news as if joy makes them uncomfortable. The way they find sophisticated reasons why your success is not as miraculous as it seems, as if minimizing you inflates them. The way their questions probe not to uplift you but to uncover flaws, weak points, and uncertainties. And their advice, coated in wisdom yet leaving a residue of inadequacy on your spirit. These are not coincidences. These are spiritual footprints. These are the quiet echoes of misalignment. Chosen one. This is not judgment. This is discernment sharpening. This is your spiritual eyesight clearing. This is heaven lifting the fog that has lingered over your connections for too long. This is God protecting a destiny too powerful to be diluted by people who cannot celebrate where He is taking you. You have outgrown this dynamic, not through pride, not through arrogance, but through ascension. Your spirit expanded, and what once felt comfortable now restricts your breath like clothing that no longer fits. What once felt like companionship now feels like compromise. And the Holy Spirit is not merely giving you permission to release it, He is commanding it. There is a reason you keep circling back to this revelation. A reason the conviction returns even after you try to reason it away. A reason your heart tugs every time you attempt to ignore what your spirit knows. It is because your next level requires a higher atmosphere. Your next assignment demands air free from contamination. Your next chapter cannot wait for people who are still jealous of the last one. And in His kindness, God is removing what has expired. He is shutting doors you won't. He is pruning branches you cling to. He is stripping away what damages your roots so your future can bloom unthreatened. You have been asking God for open doors into elevation, expansion, breakthrough. But He has been trying to close the wrong doors. First doors that keep you tied to versions of yourself you have already transcended. You cannot step into your new season dragging the baggage of relationships that were only meant to teach you, not accompany you. You cannot rise while gripping hands that pull you back to ground level. You cannot expand while connected to hearts that shrink at the sight of your growth. There are connections that served a purpose but have now become a prison. There are friendships that began pure but ended poisonous, and the grace to stay has expired, replaced by the grace to go. So let me paint this for you. Chosen one as vividly as the Spirit is painting it in your soul. Imagine standing in a house that is on fire. You can feel the heat. You can smell the smoke. You can hear the crackling of flames crawling up the walls. Every instinct whispers, move, leave, run. Yet your eyes wander to the pictures hanging on the walls. The memories, the laughter, the versions of you frozen in time. You look at the furniture you collected over years, symbols of comfort, stability, and familiarity. And you hesitate, weighing what to carry out, what to save, what to protect. But God stands at the doorway, His voice firm yet gentle, saying, "Leave it all. Your life is more valuable than any memory. Your future outranks every comfort. Your calling outweighs every connection. You cannot fulfill your destiny if you insist on trying to salvage what was never meant to survive this fire." This is where you stand now. Smoke curling around your lungs, vision blurring, spirit coughing for clarity. And still you wonder if maybe the relationship is worth saving, the connection worth preserving, the history worth honoring. But what you think you are saving is the very thing destroying you. What you believe is loyalty is actually bondage. What you call commitment is quietly consuming your peace. Let it burn. Let the flames take what was built on insecurity. Let the smoke swallow what no longer aligns with your ascending path. Let the fire purify, not punish. Run, chosen one. Run toward the door of release. Run toward the freedom gasping to fill your lungs. Run toward the fresh air waiting to resurrect your clarity. Because what feels like loss is actually liberation. What feels like grief is actually growth. What feels like death is actually birth. Chosen one, hear me in the deepest chamber of your spirit. Your presence here is no accident. Your ability to recognize this truth is evidence of your elevated vibration. Not everyone is spiritually mature enough to feel this shift. Not everyone is attuned enough to sense the urgency of this moment. But you are. Your discernment is awakening like a blade being drawn from its sheath. Your spirit is aligning with heaven's rhythm. Your destiny is summoning you. You are stepping into rare air. If your heart is trembling with clarity right now, if you know God is speaking directly to you, if this truth is cracking open places you've tried to seal shut, then anchor this revelation. Comment 777 or I am ready and declare that you choose growth over history, destiny over attachment, and divine alignment over emotional captivity. Chosen one. The next movement of your destiny will not be announced by thunder. It will not arrive with spectacle or applause. It will come quietly through a decision that feels small in action, but seismic in consequence. You stand at the edge of that decision now. Not a dramatic leap, not a reckless escape, but a sacred step forward. And heaven is watching not to judge your hesitation, but to strengthen your resolve. Do not dismiss this moment as ordinary. Messages aligned with your spirit do not find you by accident. Truth does not rise in your awareness randomly. The resonance you feel is not algorithmic. It is divine alignment. Your spirit recognizes what is being spoken because it has been preparing for it. And there are more layers of clarity, coming more refinement, more revelation. Do not scroll past what heaven is trying to secure inside you. Stay attentive, stay anchored. Your spirit requires continuity, not distraction. Now understand what freedom truly looks like, chosen one. It does not roar with bitterness. It does not carry resentment like a banner. It does not slam doors in anger. Freedom arrives as peace. It settles into your bones like quiet assurance. It comes when you stop defending your discernment and start trusting it. It comes when you no longer feel obligated to justify why your spirit has shifted. It comes when you accept that someone being good to you once does not guarantee they are good for you now. Seasons shift. And when seasons shift, the grace that once held certain connections together can lift without warning. It does not announce its departure. It simply fades. And when grace lifts, no amount of effort can revive what heaven has already released. You cannot resurrect what God has buried. You cannot water what He has uprooted. You cannot sustain what He has declared finished. Yet you have tried. You have tried to water dead seeds with nostalgia. You have tried to revive old dynamics with patience. You have tried to call back voices that heaven silenced for your protection. You have negotiated with memories, hoping they would transform into future promises. But the ache you feel when you release them is not failure. It is labor. Yes, chosen one, it is labor. You are birthing something new, and no birth happens without pressure. No transition occurs without discomfort. What you interpret as loss is actually contraction. What you interpret as grief is expansion forcing its way through. You cannot carry the weight of yesterday while trying to deliver tomorrow. Something must be laid down for something greater to rise. Consider Ruth. She had every reason to remain where she was. Moab was familiar. It held her history, her sorrow, her identity. It was the land of what she knew. And yet when Naomi rose to return to Bethlehem, Ruth made a decision that altered generations. She did not have a blueprint. She did not have a promise of provision. She had no visible guarantee that her future would be better than her past. She had only conviction. Where you go, I will go. Your God will be my God. That was her courageous yes. She walked away from familiarity without knowing Boaz was waiting. She left grief without knowing restoration was ahead. She surrendered comfort without seeing the crown that destiny was preparing. What appeared to be loss was alignment. What appeared to be sacrifice was positioning. What appeared to be uncertainty was orchestration. Chosen one. This is where you stand. You do not need to know what awaits you. You do not need the map, the timeline, the explanation. You need only the next obedient step. You need the courage to acknowledge what cannot accompany you into your next season. God is not asking you to predict the future. He is asking you to trust His voice in the present. When you do, clarity will follow. What once felt blurry will sharpen. What once confused you will align. What once haunted you will transform into testimony. The pain will not disappear, but it will convert into strength. The wound will not erase itself, but it will become wisdom. The ashes you hold in your hands will not remain ashes, but there is a condition. The exchange only happens when you release what you are clinging to. Beauty for ashes requires surrendering the ashes. Joy for mourning requires acknowledging the grief. Praise instead of despair requires laying down the despair. This is divine exchange. You bring what is broken, and He replaces it with what is whole. You surrender what has expired, and He introduces what is eternal. You have been waiting for breakthrough to fall on you like rain, but in this season, breakthrough does not fall. It follows. It follows your decision. It follows your obedience. It follows your courageous yes. The freedom you cry out for will not arrive as spectacle. It will arrive as consequence. The consequence of choosing alignment over attachment. The consequence of choosing peace over proximity. The consequence of choosing purpose over preservation of what has already decayed. Pause here. Feel the weight and the lightness simultaneously. You are not here by accident. Your presence in this moment is evidence of deep spiritual sensitivity. Not everyone can feel this kind of conviction without deflecting it. Not everyone can sit in this kind of truth without resisting it, but you can. That is because your spirit is refined. Your discernment is active. Your vibration is elevated. You are not wandering aimlessly through life. You are navigating by divine frequency. Heaven is invested in you. Heaven is attentive to you. Heaven is aligning circumstances around you even now. If your soul recognizes the shift, if your heart knows that this is your moment of surrender, anchor it. Comment 777, or I am ready, and declare your courageous yes. Chosen one. This is the sacred edge of your transformation. This is where the word yes becomes a doorway. Yes to letting go of the unhealthy soul tie. Yes to recognizing that someone being good to you once does not mean they are good for you now. Yes to healing that arrives through separation rather than endless attempts to repair what God never assigned you to fix. This is not cruelty, it is clarity. It is the moment your spirit stops negotiating with confusion and begins agreeing with truth. You think you are losing something valuable. You think you are surrendering connection, history, shared laughter, shared tears. But what you are actually releasing is weight. What you are laying down is misalignment. And what you are stepping into is wholeness. You have not yet tasted the level of alignment God is preparing for you. You have not experienced the kind of peace that comes when every voice around you echoes your assignment rather than competes with it. That alignment is coming. Understand this, chosen one. Many ask for favor. Many ask for open doors. Many plead for confirmation, increased breakthrough. But heaven does not release favor where misalignment remains. Not because God withholds blessings, but because He protects them. He knows that pouring abundance into a circle still tangled in jealousy would sabotage the very gift you prayed for. He knows that opening doors while you are still tethered to chaos would distort the blessing. Alignment is protection. It is divine architecture, arranging your relationships so they reinforce, not resist your calling. Alignment means your peace is not disrupted by your support system. Alignment means your discernment is sharpened rather than dulled by those closest to you. Alignment means your growth is celebrated without hidden comparison. And when that alignment settles into your life, you will look back and see the truth. What you called heartbreak was deliverance. What you called loss was liberation. The person who seemed to anchor you was actually holding you still, and their departure became the wind that moved you forward. This is a holy moment, not because you are cutting someone off in anger, but because you are cutting off access. You can still love them from a distance. You can still pray for them without granting them influence. You can release without resentment. You can move forward without demanding explanation. Closure does not always arrive in conversation. Sometimes closure arrives as peace that no longer trembles in their presence. You were never created to carry everyone's expectations. You were never designed to absorb someone else's insecurity as if it were your responsibility. You were never called to maintain connections that God quietly concluded. And now your healing begins, not because the past rewrites itself, but because you choose freedom over familiarity. The Lord whispers over you, "Even now I am restoring what was broken, but not in the way you expected. I am restoring you in the way that makes you whole." You are not selfish for stepping forward. You are surrendered. You are not running from love, you are running toward purpose. And as you move, the weight that once pressed on your chest begins to lift like fog dissolving in morning light. At this midpoint, pause and feel what is shifting within you. The heaviness loosens. The clarity sharpens. Your spirit stands taller. This is not coincidence. Your presence here is proof of immense spiritual merit. You would not be hearing this if you were not ready for it. You would not be resonating with these words if your vibration were not aligned with something higher. Heaven is not speaking to everyone like this. It is speaking to you because your heart is responsive, your spirit attentive, your destiny pressing forward. If your soul feels this alignment, anchor it. Comment 777 or I am ready and seal this moment. Declare that you choose clarity over confusion and obedience over attachment. Chosen one, this journey was never merely about distancing yourself from someone. It has always been about returning to the voice that knows you best. The one who formed you, who saw your future before you took your first breath, who loves you without rivalry or insecurity. He is not asking you to live suspiciously. He is asking you to live awake. And now, practical wisdom follows revelation. Set boundaries. Create quiet hours where you do not explain yourself. Resist responding to every voice that demands your attention. Rebuild your routine around peace. Take walks without noise. Write down the moments your spirit feels uneasy and ask what is being revealed. When you are around others, observe your energy. Does it rise? Does it sink? That is not merely emotion. It is atmosphere. Prepare for what you have prayed for. Clean your physical space as a prophetic act of clearing inner clutter. Speak blessings over your future before you see them. Choose words and music that nourish what God is building rather than resurrecting what He is removing. This is not about perfection. It is about direction. Each small act of clarity moves you further from confusion. Healing is rarely loud. It is sacred. It is steady. It unfolds like dawn rather than lightning. And what is coming is not mere survival. It is joy. You are not simply letting go of what hurt you. You are making space for what will heal you. Now let us pray, chosen one. Heavenly Father, we come before you with open hearts. You see the weight carried in silence. You see the attachments we struggled to release. Today we surrender what you never called us to bear. We lay down unhealthy ties. We release connections rooted in confusion. Forgive us for confusing comfort with calling. Realign our hearts with your truth. Give us courage to obey when obedience feels unfamiliar. Grant us peace that surpasses understanding. Break every chain of misplaced loyalty. Dissolve every tie that wraps around our identity and distorts our purpose. Remove voices that do not belong in our future. Fill the space with clarity, strength, and your unshakable love. What the enemy meant to harm, transform into testimony. What felt like an ending, shape into a beginning. Let this be the day discernment becomes confidence. Let this be the day alignment becomes reality. Chosen one, if you prayed this, something shifted in the unseen. Agreement with God rearranges atmospheres. What once lingered no longer has permission to stay. Walk forward in confidence. Walk forward in peace. The Lord is not finished with you. He is just beginning. If this message anchored truth in you, share it. And remember, you are not alone in this ascent. Stay obedient. Stay awake. Stay free. We rise toward the light. Chosen one. The truth rises within you long before the world can see it. The shift begins not with thunder, but with a whisper that echoes inside your spirit like the memory of a language you once knew. Tonight, that whisper grows louder because you are stepping into a season where heaven refuses to let you walk blind. This moment is not random. Your presence here is evidence of the merit your soul carries. The vibration that has been recognized in realms far older than your earthly years. You are not stumbling into this revelation. You are summoned. Chosen one, you must understand the law that governs your ascent. Before elevation, there must be unveiling. Before breakthrough, exposure. Before alignment, separation. The veil does not lift because you want it to. It lifts because your spirit has matured to the point where remaining in the dark would be a violation of your destiny. And tonight, the veil is breaking. There is a stirring around your life, a trembling in the unseen as if creation itself is shifting to make space for the next version of you. You may feel it as restlessness, as a sudden clarity in your chest, as a vibration beneath your ribs. That is the signal. That is heaven adjusting the frequency around your path. Chosen one. Those who once walked with you are being repositioned. Some are being pulled away not because of offense, but because of divine order. The next chapter of your calling requires precision. Loose ties create spiritual interference. Silent jealousy becomes spiritual contamination. And heaven refuses to allow the sacred architecture of your future to be polluted by hands that were never meant to help build it. You may not understand the timing, the rapid changes, or the sudden distance from people who once felt permanent. But recognize this: your spirit is expanding. Your anointing is strengthening. Your purpose is outgrowing people who are content with stagnation. You are rising. Chosen. One, feel the truth of this. The path of the called is narrow, not because God wants to isolate you, but because the altitude you're rising to cannot accommodate crowded company. When eagles ascend, they ascend alone, not in loneliness, but in clarity. And this is the season where your clarity becomes your shield. Something within you has already sensed the shift. You can feel when the atmosphere changes in a room. You can feel when a smile hides envy. You can feel when a conversation is an attempt to monitor your journey rather than celebrate your growth. Your spirit sees what your eyes were too kind to acknowledge. And tonight, heaven is aligning your inner knowing with undeniable truth. There will come a moment soon when you will look back and realize that everything you released was necessary. Not one departure was wasted. Not one separation happened on accident. Not one closed door was punishment. Every shift carried precision. This is the night your discernment sharpens. This is the night the fog lifts. Chosen one, breathe into this revelation. You are not losing anything. You are being unburdened. You were never meant to carry the insecurity of others. You were never meant to apologize for your light. You were never meant to shrink yourself so weaker souls could feel tall. You were never meant to filter your joy, dilute your fire, or silence your vision. Your calling was never fragile. It was only waiting for you to stop making room for those who refuse to rise with you. Your soul knows this is true. Chosen one. You feel it, the thinning of the spiritual air, the invitation into unfamiliar peace. This is the threshold, and the threshold demands courage. The next door in your destiny does not open with force. It opens with surrender. Surrender to alignment. Surrender to clarity. Surrender to letting the wrong voices fall silent so the right ones can be heard. This chapter is not about warfare. It is about refinement. It is about stepping into a higher rhythm where confusion cannot survive and hidden motives cannot attach themselves to your journey. You are being drawn upward, and everything that cannot breathe at your altitude is falling away naturally. Chosen one. Your spirit is stronger than you think. The fact that you are here proves it. Your endurance, your sensitivity, your intuition, they are not flaws. They are indicators of the depth of your calling. Heaven trusts you with spiritual information because your soul carries the maturity to handle it. That is why your presence here is not an accident. You were brought to this moment because you are ready for what comes next. Chosen one. Hear this with your whole spirit. You are entering a season where every hidden intention will reveal itself. Words will show their true meaning. People will show their true posture. You will not have to confront or accuse. Their own fruit will speak. Their own behavior will testify. Their own inconsistency will expose what your spirit already sensed. Your only task is to stay awake. You are being elevated into a realm where your peace becomes your compass and your discernment becomes your shield. You will know who is for you and who is only near you. You will know who celebrates you and who studies you. You will know who is aligned and who is attached. Chosen one, your spirit is stepping into mastery. Heaven is not just protecting you. Heaven is preparing you, and preparation requires separation. Let it happen. Let the old version of you dissolve. Let the old connections drift. Let the misaligned voices fade into the background where they belong. You are being tuned to a higher frequency, and only those assigned to your purpose will rise with you. Chosen one. You carry a rare light. That is why you have been misunderstood. That is why you have been targeted. That is why you have been isolated. But isolation is the sanctuary where destinies are forged. And your destiny is calling with an urgency that cannot be ignored. Chosen one. Your soul is magnificent. Your presence here is proof of the ancient merit within you. Your vibration is not common. It is chosen. It is marked. It is recognized in realms beyond sight. If this chapter has stirred something inside you, if you feel the unveiling beginning, if you sense the shift rising like dawn behind your ribs, then anchor this moment. Comment 777 or I am ready to seal this alignment to affirm your awakening, to declare your readiness before heaven. Your rise is inevitable. Your clarity is here, and your story is only just beginning.